This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Bergamy.
Hey, come on in. Good to see you again. No Ray in the studio this week, but he will be along later in the show, which, by the way, is a good one. Straight ahead, a look at the key role small-time meat processors are playing during this COVID-19 pandemic. John Holcomb traveling to both Jenkins and Brooks counties for that story. Also on the show, imagine walking out in your backyard and picking fresh fruit off your very own blueberry bush. Believe it or not, growing one and taking care of it is easier than you may think. And then later, with temperatures on the rise, you may be thinking of having a backyard cookout. Well, Ray and Marcia did just that and have the step-by-step instructions on some incredible recipes, including one that features the always popular Vidalia onion. Meals from the field and so much more coming up on the Farm Monitor. Well, you know, there hasn't been a whole lot of good news associated with the COVID-19 crisis, but something we are seeing is a new appreciation for agriculture. And as John Holcomb reports, there's even a new appreciation for smaller processing facilities.
In the past few weeks, for the first time in most people's lives, they've seen grocery coolers and shelves empty. And though there isn't a supply problem, it has put a light on other ways to get food, especially meat, as processors all over have been overwhelmed with orders for fresh, locally grown meat. One of those is in Jenkins County, 920 Cattle and Company.
We own a USDA-inspected butcher facility just north of here where we process for ourselves and then for other producers as well. And then for ourselves personally, we sell retail through restaurants and then through farmers markets. And then we do private labeling and custom butchering for other producers as well to do the same with their meat products.
Since the COVID-19 pandemic started and meat coolers and grocery stores have been wiped out, they've seen a big increase in sales at their processing facility.
The pandemic that we are in right now has primarily caused us to have a huge surge in demand, as with the entire meat industry. Because we sell in a direct-to-consumer marketplace, we are selling more volume, and frankly, it's harder for us to find cattle and hogs and lambs that are ready, ready to be processed, just because the timing and the influx in demand.
And they're not the only ones. Thompson Farms, a small processor in Brooks County, has also been so busy they've had to turn away business, which comes with no surprise after weeks of people fearing a meat shortage after big processing plants were on the brink of shutting down.
Our retail business has really picked up. With the scare that this virus came on and scared that the grocery store is not going to have everything they need, or they don't want to be around a lot of people, they've coming out here. And because they know that, we're small out here, that when they drive up, they're probably going to be the only ones out here to shop. So that's helped us in that aspect of it.
Thompson says he's happy with how busy he's been and hopes this makes people realize the value in buying from small processors like himself.
I feel like it's so much better to have a small processor. There's a lot of money involved and a lot of paperwork involved in what we do, but we don't process no more in a day, no more than probably, 40 hogs or so. And, these big plants, when they grind up, whether it's beef or they grind up pork, how many hogs when you get 1 pound of pork, how many hogs does that 1 pound come off of, And when we do custom, it comes off that 1 hog. And we're able to grow it. Customers can come out here and they can drive through the farm and they can see how we raise the hogs, and they can, even a lot of times they come into the plant and they can look through the window and see us processing it.
Reporting in Jenkins County for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
During this time of social distancing, more and more homeowners have taken up the hobby of gardening. With that in mind, Damon Jones tells you about one easy to care for plant that's both pleasing to the eye and your taste buds.
Both nutritious and delicious, blueberries have become one of the most heavily produced commodities in the state. And thanks to a collaboration between the University of Georgia and McCorkle Nurseries, they can now be grown right in your backyard.
They start the seedlings and they send them to us in 1-gallon containers. We step them up to 3-gallon containers and grow them and see how long it takes to fill out and make a sellable plant, fill out the pot. They come a long way as far as disease resistance, quality of berries, taste of the fruit, sweetness, just overall they've progressed real nicely.
Traditionally, blueberries have been developed more for production, and it's a little bit of a different need in a homeowner garden versus a production garden. Homeowners are looking more for a nice ornamental plant with ornamental characteristics, as well as a good crop of blueberries that they can eat over a period of time.
Since these plants are designed for home use, there are many different varieties to choose from, ranging in size and the color of the fruit.
We're looking at plant material that's anywhere from very tiny, small foliage, has a smaller berry, up to a very large quarter-sized berry, more of a traditional foliage. We also have a variety of different types of fruit color, so you can get something from a glossy black fruit all the way to that powder blue fruit that's more traditional.
And those berries provide more than just curb appeal, as they can also be snacked on throughout the summer months.
You can get probably a gallon of blueberries per plant over the length of the summer. Not all at one time, but stretched out over the summer you can. It's just more of a stage ripening process, and that way you got a few this week, a few next week, a few the following week.
No matter if you're an expert or a novice, these plants are ideal, as they require very little upkeep in either a container or in the ground.
Once they're in the garden, it's not a whole lot of work to it. They need to be established first, so the first couple of years you need to keep them irrigated if we get into prolonged drought periods.
Very low maintenance. That's what we evaluate them for, disease resistance. That way the homeowner don't have to spray them and take care of them and treat them.
So with all of the benefits and none of the hassle, Jernigan believes that these blueberry bushes are definitely an addition every home gardener should consider.
I love blueberries. Anytime you go by, it's something fun to snack on. It's kind of one of those things you can have your kids around, and something they can see grow and see that life cycle of bloom to fruit.
Reporting from McDuffie County, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
After the break, no need for a kitchen when you have Marcia's backyard. Meals from the Field is on location when the Farm Monitor continues.
Memorial Day weekend 2020. Because of COVID-19, it felt and looked different. The normal crowded highways, not so crowded. Beaches and gatherings, also not the norm due to social distancing. But just outside of Wrightsville along Highway 319, a reminder that some things never change. At least, not for Stuart Stanley.
We've been doing this 4 or 5 years now, and first, we put up the one on the irrigation on July the 4th, probably 5 years ago. And we had so much response to it, and so many people enjoyed it so much that my wife, Jane, actually came up with the idea of putting them on all the light poles, and it's just really grown from there. And it makes us feel good that people enjoy it. And people get a lot of pleasure and satisfaction from coming by and seeing the flags flying.
27 flags, a tribute to America, and Stuart's way of giving back to his community and laying the groundwork for future generations, mainly his 4 grandchildren.
This community, this is the gardenest part of the world right here. I'm sorry you don't live here, but our community, our neighbors, our little church down here, Boiling Springs Church, that's what it's all about. That's what it is.
Alrighty, welcome to another edition of Meals from the Field, and go figure, it took a virus for me to finally get an invitation to Marcia's house.
Oh, too funny.
Welcome back, everybody. Yes, for the second month in a row, well, actually for the very first time, we're social distancing Meals from the Field style. Last month we were on remote purposely because we were coming to you from Truist Park in downtown Atlanta. This month we are coming to you from Stone Mountain. Yes, in the backyard of Marcia's house, this beautiful backyard. So good to see you again.
You too, Ray.
I would give you a high five.
I know, I hate this.
We all hate it, but you know, we're dealing with it.
We're dealing with it. So.
And obviously a lot of people now, you know, starting to get outside more, the weather's starting to warm up. Hey, what better way to have a backyard picnic than right here in Stone Mountain? So what do we have? Your focus today, Marcia, like you said, is pretty much, you know, kind of outdoors, picnic-y type.
Stuff that you could take on a picnic. All right, the first thing, this is buttermilk brined chicken, and you brine it overnight.
Okay, and look, I got the camera here. Got another little makeshift GoPro, I guess you want to say.
2 cups of buttermilk.
All right.
2 cups of cold water, 1/4 of a cup of hot sauce, which you could cut down on that, but it's really not too hot, and I don't like spicy things.
Oh,
so
come on,
good.
fire up the hot sauce.
I know, and this is kosher salt, pepper, and garlic powder, 1/4 of a cup of packed brown sugar, and this is really good. I had this for dinner last night. A cup of chopped onion. Of course, you could use Vidalia, or if you wanted a little hotter, you could use a yellow onion and a lemon sliced. And you just mix all that up, and you marinate the chicken in it for up to 24 hours. I don't know that I would do it anymore. 4 hours is fine. You just marinate the chicken, and you're going to serve that. Let me get this out of the way. With tomato salsa.
Ooh.
And this is 2 cups of chopped tomato, which people I'm sure have tomatoes, are gonna have them in their garden soon. And this, you can make this a day ahead, obviously. I'm getting too close, sorry.
No, you're good.
Jalapeno chopped.
Okay.
And this is not hot either, but you could leave it out, of course. 3 tablespoons of fresh basil. And this did come out of my garden.
I'm just tired of holding the camera up here, that's all.
I know, well, that's all right.
I like you said, it's hard to get used to this whole thing.
It's so hard. And a cup of chopped Vidalia onion.
Okay.
And the juice of a lemon and 2 tablespoons of olive oil.
Is that a honey jar?
It is a honey jar, but it's perfect for this, you know, isn't it?
Let's get that on camera. Let's get a close-up.
It's just perfect.
That is classic.
I think that was a stocking stuffer one year, and I said, that is the cutest jar. I like jars anyway. And this little bit of salt and pepper, and you're going to serve this with the chicken, or not. You could serve it with anything, really. And then the Vidalia onion dip. I made this for a driveway cookout party with some neighbors. Of course, we social distance.
Sure.
Last weekend, and it was gone in 5 minutes. 2 cups of chopped Vidalia onion, and you can just mix this right in the casserole bowl. 2 cups of shredded pepper jack cheese, or you could really use any cheese that you wanted. I just thought it needed a little kick. 1/2 cup of low-fat mayonnaise. You can use regular, but it's almost too greasy.
Okay.
And 1/2 cup of sour cream. A can of green chilies, and I'm not going to even show how to mix this up because you know what it's like. And 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese, and a little bit of hot sauce. And you just stir all that up, and you bake it at 350 until it all starts to bubble. And then the last thing, actually this...
So is that the bubbling effect right there as we're seeing over here?
Yes, that's the bubbling effect, yes. It's kind of brown.
Yeah, and you can see how you spread the salsa around the chicken and stuff.
And the last thing, this comes from my son and daughter-in-law. They went to a really nice restaurant and loved this salad, Kale Caesar salad, so they reproduced it.
What's it called?
Kale Caesar salad.
Kale Caesar salad,
All right, so it's however much kale you want, but you need to soak it in water for 30 minutes just to kind of let it soften up. And my daughter-in-law is from Culloden, so you know Culloden, Georgia, so she knows her greens.
Yes.
Okay, because I would have never done that. And you're just going to add to the kale croutons, cheesy croutons, Parmesan cheese, and store-bought Caesar salad dressing.
Very nice.
And it's excellent, believe me. I've had this a couple of times.
And you tried these on your neighbors. We were hoping to get some of Marcia's neighbors out here today, because if you're a regular viewer of her recipe segments, she's always talking about her next door neighbors, and they're kind of like the guinea pigs for her recipes on the weekends. We were hoping to get them, but fortunately they're working.
Yes,
a lot of them are working, so that's good. So
they did try this dip this weekend, and it got their approval.
And it got their approval and stuff like that. So. And again, folks, we do appreciate your patience as we are away from the Georgia Department of Agriculture doing all this stuff. But of course, you can find all these recipes by logging on to farm-monitor.com, as we say every single month. And as we've been saying for, I think, 7 years now?
7 years.
I recently came across one of those old pictures of us when we first started.
Gosh.
Hilarious. But yeah, you can find these recipes by logging on to farm-monitor.com. Everything is there for you in detail, some great recipes. I've lost count how many are up there. So normally I shake your hand. I'm going to give you a high five from a distance. Great job, Marcia. Thank you for watching. And of course, we will see you next month, maybe back at the Department of Agriculture. But for now, Marcia's backyard will do. And if I behave myself today, maybe Marcia will let us come back sometime.
That's right.
All right. I'll be quiet, and we'll send it back to Kenny.
Ray and Marcia, thanks so much. Now when we come back, a new coalition determined to eliminate feral swine here in Georgia. Finally this week, it's been well documented the damage feral swine have caused both physically and financially to the American agricultural landscape. In an effort to combat the problem, the Flint River Soil and Water Conservation Districts joined forces with other agencies to form the Georgia Feral Swine Partnership. Here now, a video produced by the Alliance, which highlights the resources and best practices and ways in which you can help to get rid of feral swine once and for all.
One of the most sickening things to pull up to is a freshly planted peanut field that feral swine have come in and rooted up overnight, and you just see acres and acres of hard work just totally destroyed. All you do is just start from scratch and replant, and knowing that could very possibly happen again the very next night. We joke amongst us that they've got an internal GPS because they can go straight down a row right on top of where the seed's planted and just totally root up and destroy everything you just planted.
Feral swine in Georgia are a significant problem. They are making an impact economically as well as to water quality and our natural resources.
Feral swine's nemesis, is an arch enemy, and I believe we ought to declare war on them. I mean, that's a pretty strong statement, but there's such a devastating impact, and it seems like unfortunately in recent years, the more we do, you kind of wonder whether we're having an impact.
Feral swine have a very high reproductive rate, probably the highest reproductive rate of any animal their size on the planet. They could reach puberty between 4 and 6 months of age. Adults can produce 2 litters in a year. Typical litter sizes are 3 to 8, averages around 5.
Yeah, feral swine are not only a nuisance, but they carry disease. The 2 really big ones that we're concerned about mostly is what's known as brucellosis and pseudorabies. And we've worked hard in Georgia, as has the rest of our country, to be brucellosis free in our domestic commercial swine populations. However, these feral swine still have these diseases. And the risk is that these diseases will get back into our commercial swine and therefore will change the status of our swine in our state and the country, which will dramatically affect trade. We won't be able to sell any pigs anymore.
On private lands, if a private landowner is wanting to control pigs, they can either hunt them or trap them without a license. But if you're a hunter going on to another piece of private property that you don't own, you need a hunting license to either trap or hunt pigs. On public land, any of our wildlife management areas or federal areas, you're going to have to abide by the open seasons that are on. So you can hunt for pigs incidentally during an open deer season with the weapons for deer or turkey season. Outside of an open season for another species, you can't hunt feral hogs on public land.
If you're going to plan on field dressing or cleaning or processing feral swine, you need to wear protection, you need to use gloves, you need to protect yourself in any way you can. Make sure you wash your hands well and disinfect afterwards. Clean your knives, clean everything associated with it. And then the carcass, as well as the entrails, need to be properly disposed of.
So there's a normal exemption for deer processors to be able to custom process a pig that you hunted or trapped and you're going to consume yourself. However, if you want to process a pig and have it go into the food market, it has to actually go live to a slaughterhouse for an antemortem inspection prior to slaughter.
Feral swine are properly cooked. The diseases associated with feral swine will be destroyed and it will be safe to eat.
So in our opinion, the most effective control technique we have available at this time is large corral style trapping. Large corral style trapping allows you to target that entire family group or sounder of pigs. A lot of the smaller cage traps that are readily available, what happens inevitably is you catch a handful of juveniles that are naive, hungry, and ignorant. So they run inside that trap, they get caught, and a lot of times you've just given the education of a lifetime to the family group outside the trap. So we definitely, in our opinion, feel like large corral style trapping is the most effective control technique we have available at this time. There's two types of assistance essentially we can provide, one being just technical assistance, educational and outreach, educating them on the problem with feral swine, educating them on the most effective control techniques we have, the services that are offered. And then secondly, operational control, which is where Wildlife Services actually has boots on the ground, providing assistance to landowners, farmers, producers, land managers, in actually resolving the problem.
NRCS does not provide financial assistance of feral swine, particularly to landowners, but we provide financial assistance in the terms of an agreement with local partners. And then they too would then use those funds to educate, train, purchase equipments that could be used to help control feral swine.
The Flint River Soil and Water Conservation Districts works on the ground here with landowners and farmers in Southwest Georgia, and because we're here to serve our landowners and address natural resource issues, it's something that the district has focused on.
This is a problem that's only going to find a solution if the public really wants a solution and wants to drive that solution.
Effective control techniques to control feral swine is a full-time job. You can't half-heart it. You can't do it part-time. You can't do it seasonally. It's something you have to stay on top of year-round.
Georgia will not be the Georgia we want it to be until we get a handle on this problem. And elimination of feral swine has got to be a priority for lawmakers, priority for those of us that have influence over agencies, and I hope it's going to be one of those subjects that grows in popularity with the general populace, because if we can do this with fewer or no feral swine, Georgia would be a better place to live.
For resources, videos, landowner guides, and for more information, you can visit georgiaferalswine.com.
And some great information, and a big thanks to Flint River Soil and Water Conservation District for sharing that with us and with you. For everyone here at the show, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week right here on the Farm Monitor. Have a great week.